Peace, blessings, and elevation. We will bring you inspiring stories, expert insight, and practical tools and information to support you. Types in embracing our authentic selves, we can pave the way for a brighter future for ourselves and our children. Power, heal, and support fathers and men on their journey. I'm your host, Kelly Little, aka the Village King. Welcome to the Father's Haven. Peace and power to the people. Today, we have one of my beloved brothers who is a powerful leader in the space of fatherhood, Black and brown youth, restoring communities through fatherhood, and uplifting and elevating Black and brown young men, although he impacts and affects men and fathers from all demographics. Brother Cal is a author. He's a coveted public speaker. He's an activist in our community. He's also illuminated the importance of smashing suicide, which we're going to get into. Look, I don't even want to steal some of the thunder, but this brother just been recognized, and he's going to get an honorary PhD for, I'm talking about over 3 decades of powerful work, not only in Detroit. His work affects and impacts people across the United States and outside of our national borders, impacting people internationally. With no further ado, let me introduce my brother, Calvin Mann. Welcome, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brother Cal.
It's always good to break bread with a warrior, a brother that understands the things that we are faced with and do. And so I'm anytime, like I told you, anything for my brother Kelly.
Yeah. See, that's what, when you in this, what I call international army, fighting what we're fighting, you realize that, like, you're not in this war alone. I know I got locked arms with my brother Cal over here, and I unfortunately failed to recognize him in the proper way. What up, though, Cal?
Yes, sir. What up, dog?
Yo, look, big ups to Detroit. Cal, quick question for you. Brother, ground us with, what's your favorite thing about being a father?
Oh man, really, it's all of it. The beginning, the middle, the end. You know, when they're adults, it's all of it for me. I like seeing them take off. I don't think my kids really understand when we parent, how you parent, because some of us parent from lack, some of us parent from very little, some of us parent from a whole lot. So for me, it's really watching them grow into adulthood and really learning what value really is, self-value, you know, what they really want to accomplish, those types of things. Of course, you have daughters, so you know them daughters, they're different, and so are the boys. So it's for me, it's really I kind of like it all. Like today, you know, I supported my son at Black Tech Saturday. He got him an app. He got support. You know what I mean? And so watching him really smile because his education paid off. He found something that made him feel good. So that's everything to me.
Look. So when you say everything, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking and recollecting, like, the Mann family is like a staple in that Detroit area. But first of all, Kyle's son looked just like you, right? But generationally, how you and your family have impacted the greater Michigan area speaks to, for me, the importance of legacy in creating a culture. Because, Kyle, you're not just a biological father, you're a spiritual father, you're a community father, and you're an adoptive father to so many, not just in Michigan, though.
Right.
Bro, we was just in what, DC a couple weeks back at an international fatherhood conference, and you were doing what you always do, which is you were mentoring and sponsoring really other men and other fathers. So talk to me a little bit about the role that you play in terms of advising and helping others be able to receive that torch um, willingly, because you know how it was when we came into the game. You know, it wasn't a whole lot of people sharing that baton. And so we had to kind of build tables for ourselves, although there are some folk who kind of brought us in, but not as receiving as I've seen you.
So really, it's like you said, it's been a battle. Um, I think for me, I think the best thing I could say here is society didn't value fatherhood. Helping fathers feel good about themselves, be good about themselves. There's a huge disconnect. Recently, when I got back, I spoke at the 12th annual Fatherhood Forum, and I shared some important pieces. And I think a lot of times we we forget the importance, and a lot of people don't want to give up their spot, and a lot of people trying to move around to hang on to their spot. But you know, God is telling the world through nature some things have got to change. And so for me and the work and the people, it was I found fatherhood not to be fun. And being a young man and coming into fatherhood and seeing that, I was like, man, I'm not doing it that way, right? And so I set out to meet men who were good fathers to learn from because I grew up around good fathers. And so helping a father is nothing, in my opinion. It's what you should do, because if you help him, you help his family, you help his children, right? Knowing how valuable he really is, which we're getting ready to get to that, bro. Right? So it's going to I, you and other people. You guys have your niche. My niche, I'm banging this fatherhood piece from every angle I can to where the culture around fatherhood shifts to an even greater height. It's shifting as we speak, but it should shift to an even greater height, because then the culture has order, and now we can cut out. I truly believe, Kels, that if we put this in order, that trauma piece would go down. That trauma piece, that us leaning in education and how they want to talk. Man, I just saw a video of a Hispanic brother talking about, that to the black people, they trying to pay us to replace y'all, right? So they letting us come in, they giving us free college, the whole nine. They trying to replace y'all. Man, I knew that when George Bush made the announcement in 2004. But the culture, us as being African American men and families, we have to take the same approach, right? If it's working in that manner, I'm gonna take this approach: fathers first, fathers, mothers, children, order. Any Bible you pick up is going to say order. Any Quran you pick up is going to have order. Any particular religion other than the other 30,000 of them, when you pick it up, it's going to have order. So for us, being brought into a system that created so much disorder, I'm going to help every father that come across my path. If I can help them, if I can't, we're going to refer them because I know how important he is.
Cal, you said something that was powerful because a lot of times in certain spaces, we feel like we have to have all the answers and do all the work. And what you said was you're going to do what you can, and what's not in your scope or sphere of expertise, you're going to refer him, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so that comprehensive collective mindset is what allows us to be able to truly not just serve fathers, but stand with fathers and make sure they get what they need so that they can accomplish their assignment as men and fathers. And so as I kind of come to that, in your opinion or perspective, Kyle, what is the role of a father?
The role of a father really starts before you even become a father. Because the role of the father, your DNA is what is going to determine the amount of success you will have as a father anyway. See, the system knew. They knew all along. The system creates these issues and problems and denials and things like that. Well, that corrupts the DNA. So when I have a child, there's a chance that their struggle, the denials, the different perspectives, the racism, the rejection, these are things that is on the DNA code. Mm-hmm. So for me, being a father is about being the very best you can be before you transport that seed. And understanding that, also understanding that as a father, knowing your value is beyond any scope or anything that you're going to face. I know my value. And so because of that, fatherhood is mentoring, guiding, caring, shaping, disciplining, right? Um, Understanding, holding accountable. Fatherhood is responsibility, accountability. Fatherhood is protection, provision, process, system. Fatherhood is care, crying, walking, talking. Fatherhood is breathing. It's fatherhood is everything that you can imagine God meant for us to have.
See, look, and that's why I love this, brother, because when we get in so many spaces, the first thing they like to tell us is that men and fathers' primary responsibility is to be able to provide and protect. And just like you said, like those are small components that are part of our responsibility. It's the totality that's our responsibility. And understanding that not only do we provide those things, but the balance is in the dance between the masculine energy and the feminine energy to be a complete person. So being man enough to understand that you were given tear ducts to be able to release the pain from the body and show that there's strength through the tears, right? And what's like, matter of fact, I'm gonna shout out another D guy, Jason. So, brother Jason, I like a man, right?
Right.
And so when we're able to teach and model that for young people, we're back to what you said earlier, we're changing the culture, but we're also constructing that DNA so that what the young people that are coming behind us, they don't have to work as hard because of the work that we're trying to do right now to correct those codes and help them by embracing them and then guiding them through, right? Forget about what television and radio say a man is. This is what manhood is about. And I've seen, talk a little bit about Emmy.
So it's funny, man. And so shout out to, I lost one of my boys today, this morning, Omari.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was young. We discovered, we got the call today, he was 42, pancreatic cancer. Leave behind a couple of kids. Emmy was given to me in 1992. I was working in an all-white daycare because I couldn't understand why we called each other the N-word, things like that. So I went to see what was the difference in the raising. Mm-hmm. And so while I'm working in this daycare, I'm also coaching and working. And God gave me the words, encourage me, I'm young. Encourage me, I'm young is what unlocked fatherhood. So in the process, in coaching, very successful at basketball, coaching basketball, putting kids in college. I just saw the world in a different space. I was denied access to really become the guy. So I was the youngest varsity basketball coach at 23. Then me and my uncle, we collaborated. My uncle was the head coach. I was associate head coach. I did all the development, all the things like that. We did character. We taught all our boys about life, everything. And in that process, when it was my turn, I had everything set up. We was getting ready to turn into a powerhouse. And the people, they shut it down and gave the job to somebody else and blew up the whole program. And it took them at least took them a good 14, 15 years before another Division I player rolled out of there. So keep in mind, we pumped in 40, right? And so we wasn't just doing our kids, we was helping other school kids.
Hey, hold on, before you run past that, how many years did it take for you to pump out 40? I need them to hear this.
So from 92 to 2000.
8 years.
8 years.
40.
40. Yep. And prior to 92, I had my cousin, my brother. I had all of them when I started at 20 and developing them and taking them and, taking them to tournaments and doing certain things. And I had all of them. And so this coaching thing came to me at 20 when my godfather gave me a whistle. So once that transcended, I started laying shirts in 2004 where kids was getting killed. And in 2007, a mom gave me the nonprofit Encourage Me, I'm Young, helping her son get off of video games and being active. So she thought I would need this nonprofit. And so we went on to do some things. And now we got an award-winning agency that helps restore family through the boy. And we've, since 2007, we've had over 23,000 youth, 16,000 males come through our work and what we do. And really, for me, a lot of people might sit back and judge me, say I don't have this and say I don't have that. Well, I don't, because I don't have patience. I have a sense of urgency. When I know for a fact in 39 years, none of my boys have gone to prison. None of my boys have been locked up, right? None of my boys, all my boys are husbands and fathers. I know the work we did from coaching and this nonprofit work has been a force. We may not have all the bells and whistles right now, and they're coming, right? Because once we get the facility we want, everybody gonna have to, you know what I mean? Because we cold at this. We know how to take a boy. I know how to take a boy from 0 to fly. So we good at that. And I can hand him over to you, and you can take him, and he can fly even higher. So our work around family restoration, 98% parental involvement, Encourage Me, I'm Young, Reading Is Life, Respect Day, um, Smash Suicide. These are things that we've been able to accomplish, and we got to rent spaces. We don't even have our own facility, and so for me, I tell my wife this all the time, and other people. I'm always in a panic mode. So me saying that, people tell you, well, you just got to be patient. No, I already know the game now. See, I understand. I understand the roadblocks. I understand who gonna pass what. Because it's in our nature. It's been deemed and bred in us to block and do these things to each other. Well, so for me, it's for me to kick the door and keep going, to say, when you look up, you gotta say, well, wow, you did all of this and you didn't. No, we never even had a major budget. We never had. God has blessed us so to maintain that we one phone call away from that whole nother level. And when we do, right, it'll still be the same urgency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It'll still be the same urgency. It'll just, now we teaching the hoop, we got the football, we doing the track, we got the volleyball. Now we on a whole nother level of character, family character, the whole nine. I go back to when we had 350 boys on the east side. Everybody got bells and whistles. We didn't. So that we took the kids and we had 350 boys, not one fight.
Wow.
We asked the church, the deacon and all of them. Nobody came through. So it was just me and his other brother, his wife, 2 kids at the concession. And we got 350 kids. We run them in the classroom. We run them out, run them in the gym, pray before games. They got to play some basketball. They had the brand on. And so we understand perfectly where we're headed. Our vision is intact. Our plan is intact. But we not going to let you hold us up for nothing, brother. Because we know for a fact the value from which we mentor, the understanding that piece is just way too important for us to allow somebody playing, or somebody like, oh no, you playing favoritism, nepotism, whatever, right? I can't let it hold us up, because life is too important, and our children deserve the same shot as everybody else's kid.
Man, so when I look at the scope and the extent of the work that you're doing, particularly, you got to talk about the truck and how you're nimble enough to be able to float in different neighborhoods and impact young people in a way. And so when we engaging with the young people, we are fathering, right? And you are preparing them through what you model, which is why you haven't lost anybody to the streets. That piece is so critically important, right? As you talk about bells and whistles, you've been able to use your business acumen and your persistence. And one of the things that I know, this cat got a huge heart. So talk a little bit about that, Kyle.
So the RV is connected to the whole smash suicide piece, right? So pull up and offer resources. So we're waiting on resources right now from a partner. We take those resources and we just go hit. It's seeds. So for us, it has to, a lot of our children and our culture thinks differently about suicide. Somehow, some way, we're missing the boat on understanding. As I've explained to parents, boys 5 to 11. So that don't, for the culture, that's like, we don't, it blows my mind. So It says everything that's wrong with us when we know we have this at the table and we just no look it, we're not paying attention to it. Man, I tell you this, it's a tragic story. Lady was looking for her son. They on live television. They got a whole neighborhood wall. They looking for this boy. And while the news is walking next to her, this is during the regular evening news segment. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden in the background, you hear this loud scream, oh my God. And they find her son and hung himself in a garage, bro. Live in front of everything in a garage. And I said, that's what I've been dealing with since 2004. I said, that's why I have, because kids been murdered, raped. Like, man, there's so many stories I can tell since 2004 about the things that we are allowing to happen to our children. Like, it's unbelievable stories. And that was just one of them. So it really expresses, if a kid gets past 5 to 11, the 12 to 24 are sitting there waiting on them. You see? Right? If he get past the 12 to 24, the 24 to 80 is sitting there waiting on him. Suicide is snatching lives. It eclipsed from, at one point, it was just 1 million worldwide. It's 2 million people worldwide, right? It's eclipsing, it's impacting this many people. So if 1 million pass, that means 2 million, possibly 4 million is impacted by the death of that person. China is the only area right now where the women are number one, because the women in China wanted to live like American women with divorce and all of that, and found out it was very, very tough. Mm-hmm. It upticked in girls in the United States, 12 to 14. Yep. So we are saying, if this is on this kid's code, this on his DNA code, that at 6, he was contemplating suicide. At 10, he was contemplating suicide. At 15, he was contemplating suicide. So that is from how we have treated, how we have breeded, mm-hmm. how we have conceived improper, immoral, these things that we allow this system to force us into producing, where now even incarceration. So the numbers are even startling. You know, as I was telling you, incarceration is divorce, and it's absent fathers that kill children before their time. It's killing. It's literally. Mm-hmm. So without fatherhood, we've essentially been killing these kids. So it's suicide. So we remove the absence of that. So for me, the RV is for us to pull up, make you feel good, let you know that there's some people out here, right? And we here to smash suicide with that encouragement. We've not lost one. We're proud of the work, but we just getting started, man. We have a national plan. We don't have an ordinary plan. And because of that, you know, learning how to franchise it and move it into other cities, those types of things, I believe that's on me. Wow.
Yo. And even when you say you believe it's on you, what I love your willingness to extend your arms and connect with people all across, not just Michigan, but across the United States and abroad to be able to have greater impact. Because to your point, if we think about what happened in 2019 with the so-called pandemic, right? We also know that for particularly all men, but specifically for Black and brown men, that there is this statistic, like the father absence statistic is huge, which I don't agree with all of the definition of father absence.
Right.
Because part of that is just because the father is not in the home doesn't mean they're not engaged in the ball.
Yeah.
So rewriting that narrative. But the other piece is that when we can embrace and bring the fathers who are not engaged and involved back to spaces to restore communities. And I know how I watch you have battalions and brigades of men on standby to support. That allows us to be able to have a greater opportunity to reduce poverty rate, because all the research and data says that when fathers are collectively there, that we reduce poverty, we have less behavior issues, infant mortality shifts, mom's ability to successfully go through her pregnancy in a way where postpartum not an issue. The school to prison pipeline is reduced because of men being there, and least likely to commit crimes. Young ladies are least likely to get pregnant. Abuse and neglect, domestic violence, childhood obesity, and then just to your point, like when we know that, like research and data confirm that historically, all the information on fatherhood wasn't even done through a father; it was done through a woman, right? No offense to women because they are amazing, but our voices have to be invited into the table. So kind of setting that up, Kyle, how have you navigated engaging with child support systems, school systems, hospitals, and other organizations who haven't traditionally opened their arms to men?
So schools, we're winning, right? We've been in schools the whole nine. Not so much DPS, but at one point we had DPS 3, 4 years with Respect Day. Um, with other areas, we even just collaborated and did an amazing event with 3 women organizations. Um, as far as uh, going in and sit on the fatherhood policy group where we shaping policy, um, where we got it's sitting on a bill sitting on the table right now. So when they sign up for ADC or welfare, they don't go after the father for child support. Uh, child support, child support is being changed, as you and I both know. That was my second time spending time with Tangela Gray.
Right? Shout out to
because she came here to Detroit, and I was in the room, and I'm telling you, I was trying to answer every question, brother. Right, and so, and at one point I was wrong, and so the room was so geeked to tell me I was wrong, right? And I was like, good, I'm learning. You know what I mean? That's because I'm not here for the right. And so we all laughed. I had to leave, but me and her, we got to talk, and we exchanged information again. And the point is that that's another reason why we're voting, right? Because another 4 years of her work will help reshape the child support system across the globe, right? Across the nation, because that's what's happening. More resources fathers are pouring into these situations. Because again, I I personally gotta say that it's important to include the most important parent, and that's what we are trying to do. As far as resources and different people. People talk all the time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Cal, we'll help you. Yeah, Cal, well, it's not me. It's the families and things like that. So I hope I answered your question, but more importantly, that's kind of like where I'm at with that.
No, it definitely answered my question. And I wanted to just back up a second because a lot of people don't know. I would go as far as to say the last three commissioners in child support on a national level had a platform that advanced fatherhood, all three in different ways. Vicky Tereski, it was embedded in national child support enforcement at the time's policies to engage fathers before they, you know what I'm saying, early, and making sure that we find ways to work with those fathers. Scott Leakin then took what she had and he expanded on some things and had an open initiative. And then Tangela came in as well, and she's wanted to get close to fathers and she wanted to talk to those fathers and kind of scope policy out based on lived experiences. So she definitely made an effort to make sure that she's challenging the traditional methodologies. And she was the one that took the last major step, which was changing the name from enforcement to child support services, which is a huge shift and mentality in how we approach things. Now, again, they're the governing body. We still got to address and navigate our local child support systems and hold them accountable. But we see the progress, and something that you lifted up, which is critical, is how we engage with policy and procedure. Because leaders come and go, right? So, and when they go, we got to have policies. And so, shout out to you, because that's one of the things I'm telling everybody. Yeah, we can challenge these things. We can get somebody to embrace us. But if we're not looking at policy and procedures, what's going to happen when the person we have a relationship with, when they leave, if it's not embedded or inculcated into the policies and procedures, then we're not going to have the generational impact that we would like to have for not, and again, we say fathers, but realistically, this is for families. You know what I mean? I see judges, oh yeah, we got to get the money for the babies. Well, if we get the money for the babies and we're not making sure from an emotional, physical, spiritual, and social standpoint that they're okay, because when you keep, you want to push the money, but you're not pushing the idea of relational time with that father. That child carries that. And you started this podcast off with trauma, right? That trauma will follow that child till they're a grown man or a grown woman.
Yeah, but see the real issue right now for me and the things that I've been trying to talk to people about, the real issue, to be clear, that these systems have been eating off us. Mm-hmm. If you close your eyes and you just really go through the systems, and this is another thing that I was speaking of. The child falls out the womb. She's in jeopardy. He or she's in jeopardy just to be birthed. While the child is in the womb, the child has father hunger. The child then comes out the womb. There's a chance, 1 in 600 now, autism is at play. ADHD is at play. Trauma sets in because there's no father there. One incident, Child Protective Services has that child. And that child goes into foster care. If any chance that you have, because foster care, those kids, that's somebody's 401k, somebody's position, somebody's fee for their home. 9 out of 10 times people are in those positions are taking care of their family. So then the child goes from there, goes into the educational system. If it's a black boy, he's 4 times removed from the daycare system, right? More than he would be kicked out of a high school. Now he goes off. Maybe he can't read, or maybe she can. But then she has to deal with the educational system with her hair, or his hair, or the education, or the lack of the teacher, or the dislike by the teacher. Doesn't matter if the teacher is black or white. We've become an attack in an attack, but we're at an attack position against these kids having opportunities and growth.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, the child has even more trouble. The father is absent, and now the child falls into the juvenile system. The juvenile system then turns around. There's a chance the child might be raped in the juvenile system. The child most definitely can be bullied in the juvenile system. The child is not getting educated in the juvenile system. So the child comes out, the child is angry, the child can't read, the child is angry, and the child is now set up to fall into the prison system or a casket. Or they'll go into the mental health system. So then the kid goes to the mall. The kid is subject to a situation where they are scoped out and seen as a problem. The kid is on the street, walking down the street. The kid is a problem. You cut on the nightly news, that kid is evaluated based upon what the news is showing and has been showing for 50, 60 years. Like we the only problem when we know murderous states, murderous people is on Dateline, BBC, all of that. We got 40 cop shows showing us as the villain. So when then you go and you do the research and you say, wait a minute now, we do the research. So now the father, all of a sudden, hey, I want to get my child, I want to see my child. Can I see my child? And now the system has armed the process against him. And then when he finally breaks through and gets that child, he has to go through a whole process. And that child is shook up. And the reason why I'm saying all of that, because that is the system that our children, that we have allowed. Man, if you don't back your ass up on these black kids, man, back up. I love all boys, but these black ones, that's me. And so you have to really, I don't think, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, right? It wouldn't be the first time. But in my opinion, that's why we haven't grown. Oh, people said, oh, drugs. People said this, that. No, I'm telling you, even just Kenya just announced, even in divorce, Kenya just announced you no longer can get half from divorcing the man. You have to prove your contribution the whole nine. Like we have decided that divorce and these things were just way too important, you know, for my sanity, for me, my individual, right? And the destruction on the kids and the words we use is they'll be all right. And our kids, come on, man. These kids, you look out here, black kids, white kids, Arab kids, all these kids out here suffering from traumatic injury, from poor parenting and poor systems. Then even this racial crap where, you know, the guys, let's be realistic here, gentlemen. The white culture has benefited from race mixing more than anybody. Every year, over 20,000 are absorbed into the white culture. So you playing this game that somehow suddenly you not gonna be this, you gonna be that. That's all BS, man. Y'all just was looking for a reason to try to start some. That is not the case at all. Every year you absorb 20,000 other people's culture. You did it to the Indians, and it's the same process. It's no different. So in the mindset of where we are, we can't let it happen to our culture, right? We have to understand that our culture is very, very valuable. We're the innovators.
You hit up on surface level things and symptomology, right?
Right.
Cause like anytime we're looking at the symptomology, to your point, we're not getting to the root. And the root is we have to create equity for males and fathers to resolve our problems. Otherwise, we're addressing it haphazardly. You can't have just one gender. And in this case, moms get more access sometimes when they're not together. And this is why I'm a big fan of making sure that regardless of what happens, both parents have equitable access.
Yes.
Even if dad has some other issues, at least let the child see them, even if it's through supervised means, because otherwise that child will carry those scars and those wounds and wonder why their father didn't love them, which ultimately adds to the bigger problem of going through the criminal justice systems, abuse, all these other things. So we have to understand, and for both parents, we got to get out of this thought process that this person makes me mad, because the only person suffers in that instance is the child or children. So I'm glad you brought that up. This is all inclusive in terms of making sure we bring a holistic model that allows us to have equitable access, and no parent is better than the because both of us come to the table not knowing what to do, even when we think we know what we did do. And our first kids may be completely different than our second kid. So it's a process of exploration to that point. Let me ask you this, Kyle. When we say the word father's haven, how do you create a culture that not only embraces men and fathers who have been told to just be providers and protectors, so that they can let their guards down and be better mates for their significant other, better fathers for their kids, and understand that they don't have to know it all?
For me, it's what we have uh, been clear about is you're the most important parent. And because of that, you need to understand that you have to put that mask on first. You need to understand also really the value so you can enjoy it. See, it's more than the notion. If I'm just going to work and I'm coming home and I'm going to work and I'm coming home and there's no value for me, right? We extend that value. We celebrate fatherhood. I see somebody walking down the street and it's like, dog, that's the move right there. That's it. Oh yeah, yeah, man, you called for that. That's what I'm talking about. We need some more. Like that's how I make sure you feel good about this. So even when my guys and we come together, because they're human, they call all the time. I have to tell her, man is in business the whole nine. Man, you're absolutely gifted. If you can't appreciate, man, you're a talented brother. Look at what you've accomplished. You know what I mean? Enjoy yourself. Don't beat yourself up, because even me, you, I think sometimes we beat ourselves up unnecessarily. So because we might not have certain things. I just went through this the other day, like, man, and I just dropped everything, took a break. The wife ain't say nothing. I went, sat on the porch, with my ancestors, with my grandmothers in them house. My brother, with the house is still in the family. It's been in the family since the 30s, right? And so this house, I went and sat on the porch yesterday, right? I took my computer, I went over there, I called my brother, he wasn't there. I said, man, I'm about to sit on the porch and connect. And I sat on the porch. It's the same house I used to run out eating boogers. It's the same house, you know what I mean? This is the house that my grandparents built. This is the house where my mother and them came out of. 11 bodies. So out of that house is 100 and some bodies. So
Mm-hmm.
the connection allowed for me to just go sit, and right away the phone rang and it was my son.
Wow.
Right. I called my son. I said, man, hey, I called him first. Early when I got over there, I said, man, I'm just calling to let you know I'm having one of those days. He said, what's that, Dad? I said, this is rough. I'm going through it right now. I got this little anxiety piece, right? I want to be something. I know I got to do certain things, but my mindset, I'm shifting. It's another level. And I'm just calling to tell you, man, I'm scared. I'm scared because it's what I know I got to do this. And some days you got to put up your dukes. I say, so he was like, Dad, man. He said, man, I'm glad you called me, man. I got to go in here, but I'll hit you back. And so I sat on the porch. 2 hours later, phone rang, text message. As I was pulling up, the text message said, they're going to invest in my app.
Wow.
I said, oh, yeah? He said, yeah. I said, then it's a good day. It's a good day. So that's really where we, instead of coming together talking about girls and women, instead of coming together talking about, who got blowed last night, all that, we're coming together to talk about fathers, caring, community, life, love, marriage. These are the things that the culture needs more than anything.
Yeah, like as you frame that out, and you talked earlier about going to sit in your ancestral place, but then you also talked about all the things that you expose our young people to, particularly with what we're getting from radio, television, social media sometimes. And you talked about it. It's that classical conditioning. But everything that you said was what counteracts the negative classical conditioning, because what you did was you affirmed their greatness, you affirmed their power, you modeled why we need to reflectively look at all the amazing things that we're doing. So we create an environment of positive reinforcement. So we walk into a room very differently. And as men and fathers, even if I can go back to when we was kids and we were made to watch Roots coming up, right?
Right.
What he do? He held Kizzy up in the air and told her what she was going to be. And that's the value of men across generations. Our job is to affirm, support, all those other things that we spoke to. But Jacob gave each of the children their birthright through his affirmations. And that's what we have to make sure we understand. Without that, sometimes our children get lost. Most times they'll get lost, even with a strong mom. Vice versa. If it's just dad and mom's not there to support, they miss a component of what they need to, because they're not whole and complete. As I think of that, I got to ask you another question, though. What's your greatest fear as a father, Cap?
My greatest fear?
Yeah.
Woo. One, I'm not enough. I believe that sometimes our children have a perception of what they want the father to be, because sometimes we spoil them. The old Brian McKnight piece. I give you everything and then you turned on me.
Mm-hmm.
So in the event that you turned on me and everybody turned on me, you attacked me. Well, Brian McKnight didn't have the understanding that he could never turn his back. But it's very painful to hear your kids. I get a text message from a friend today that his son won't allow him to even partake in his grandson's life, and he's very emotional about it because he plays with his father.
Mm-hmm.
Father is concerned. So these are the things that they don't understand. These are the things that impact us as fathers and will push us in places that you might not be able to get us back from.
Right. Right.
Because we're human too. So that's one of my biggest fears. The other is losing a child before I go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very, very connected to my children in ways that they may not understand, but I can feel them. I believe I get that gift, but a lot of times you just want to make it easy for them, but you can't. And so, like I explained to them, life is going to keep on lifing. But, it's some tools and stuff. It's some stuff out there that I laid the ground on that if you walk in these areas, you're going to bump into some support for some people that knew your father. So I don't, that's my fear is, that's one of my fears is literally one of them die. When I had to bury my nephew, this is a great question. This is my oldest nephew. CT was my oldest nephew. Great kid, right? My brother and my sister-in-law, right? We was always at odds because athlete. But my nephew shouldn't have been on that road, and I stayed on this. But my nephew was helping my brother. They had finished painting. They was getting ready to move in the house, him and his brother. He stayed up, went to my brother's being selected as a member of the church, as a supervisor over a certain district in the church, God in Christ. And he chose to go to work. And he died in a car accident. And so my uncle had to call my brother. And so as the funeral go down, we standing in the back of the place, and I go to the back where my brother is standing. My brother's on the, and I'll never forget this. I said, "Man, how did you do this? How did you literally do this?" And he said, "Man, if it wasn't for God, I'd have been ran away. God was the only way I was going to be able to do this." And it really gave me a different perspective about what God has in store for us. Right? Everything is not pleasurable.
Right.
There's some lessons that we have to learn with God, and that was one that I learned. And I watched the same thing with my uncle burying his oldest. I watched the same thing with Dwayne, my former athletic director, burying his oldest. Two in the car accident, one was shot. And so I wasn't quite really grasping it till I saw those things. And so I understand that's one of my biggest fears.
As you was walking on that path, one of the things that always sits with me is that because of the nature of your work, right? You've touched so many kids, which means you touched both moms and dads. And so in touching all of them, that's back to that biological role, is to that community and what I consider to be an adoptive father role. Like for some kids whose father is not involved, or maybe across the country or even in prison, whatever the case may be, your role is so critical because your sage advice is what allows them to have the template or the model that they may not otherwise have had. And some people, many, their guidance may have came from Uncle Phil, you know what I mean? May have came from George or from Good Times, James. That's you, right? That's your team. And that's such a huge task. So in doing that, as a man and as a father, we also got to learn to your point, move away from this. And I'm gonna have to go sit on that porch somewhere. For me, what I try to do is embed spaces of being around water and nature and gardens, maybe riding a horse, so that I create the boundaries for me, because you're constantly vicariously receiving trauma, and you got to be able to release that trauma. So you got to create that balance. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You have no choice. It's after that I came in and I was like to the wife, I said, all right, the next 63 days is on. We tighten up all boats.
mm-hmm.
It's time to go get them. And because of my next book, the book cover is out cold. It's ready. All ingredients count, brother. When I drop in the fall, I'm pushing. And I mean I'm pushing, right? Because it's time, right? You have it's 39. In some cases, dog, I wanna say 19. I wanna say 40, right? Um, because some stuff you lose, was it 19 or was it 20, right? So I just stick with the 20 because it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back before then. Even when I was in high school, when the guy that hired me for the girls varsity, I was helping him. Excuse me, his girls basketball team, help coaching them. Right? I forget all of that. I forget all the people I walked home and protected when I was in high school. I forget all the things I organized. Man, at one point I had my own fraternity. I forget
Right.
so many things, man, um, because those were ill intentful things.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the wrong mindset. You know, I tell a story. Even went to a party for a bachelor party, and the bachelor party is 3 days. Pimps, prostitutes, everything in the middle of a suburban neighborhood that you would have for sure thought the police was gonna shut it down. They never shut it down, bro. And I'm talking about we went 3 days. And I remember saying to my friends at the time, like, wow, because we didn't have the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't fathers yet, right? And I really from 20, 21, right? That's when I started really seeing a difference. But I say all that to say it's amazing what God can turn you into when you allow him in your life.
Yes.
It is amazing what God can do to you because for me, bro, the Cal, my brother, him, hey man, yeah, this you are, yeah, brother. Woo-hoo. But God is so good, right? Because he gonna spank you to where he needs you to go.
Indeed. Indeed. Look. So as you talk about that transformation, right, from 20 to the progression of who Cal is now and whose cows continue to become, tell me your favorite uh, fatherhood memory with each of the kids, and maybe one of the kids that you serve that's not a biological kid.
So I will start non-biological.
Okay.
My stepson. When when I really about to come into his life, my stepson wasn't even tying his shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like they literally was tying his boy shoe. at 9 years old. And so I told him he can't even come back to my program unless one of y'all sit down and teach him how to tie a shoe. So he sat down and tied the shoe. Today the kid is a 3.6 student,
Nice.
right? He borderline autistic, but just even today, like the whole yard. I only had to show him twice. He then flew through the whole yard. He's 17. He's starting to dress. He's starting to understand. He's starting to want a little more. His mind is catching up with his body. And so he would be the first because I seen what love can really do for him, right? Um, for my my youngest son, it was Cameron. He he was the kid that I went in. He was the one that I planned. I remember my friend had a son, and I was like, I want one more son. And I went in at the time. I was like, can I? And she was like, I ain't know nothing, right? And so I had a son. And what was pivotal was I made sure he went everywhere with me. So he was at meetings. He opened at 4 years old. He on stage introducing me to come out and speak. He was reading by 4. He designs cars, but the most incredible moment I could say to date that I had with him was him buying his own car cash,
Mm.
right at 19. Literally cashed out his own car for himself.
Wow.
You know, my daughter Dominique, we had several moments, but the one that really stands out to me for her is her independently listening and cultivating her plan to really move, get her own space and place, and maintain and work like she handles her business. And for that, that's something to really be proud of. When she was younger, she was always afraid of leadership. Always. I always want every coach wanted her to lead when she was playing soccer. They wanted her to lead. She didn't want no parts of leadership. It showed all the symptoms, but wanted no parts of leadership. So for her to be a mom now and in the situation that she's in, I'm often got prayer on her that she really rallies back toward her dad in a way through her decision making.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, she handled her business. She's been to places and on things I've never been. Right? She makes sure she goes on trips, and she works for it and do her thing. My oldest boy, several. He was a hell of a football player who God put these people in life to redirect him. He ended up graduating from a Christian college, went down to Atlanta for business, um, does the whole, at one point, literally gospel hip hop, really got some real skills, but don't want to do it. One of the most pivotal moments that really stood out that let me know he was going to be a beast is he left the little league team, the Cougars, and went over to the Cubs, who the Cubs was supposed to be this big time organization who they was beating anyway, but the Cougars kept having problems. So he decided to go over. Now he'd been to 5 championship games with the Cougars. So he decided he wants to go to the Cubs. And he over at the Cubs and everybody talking. They bumping their chops, like what they gonna do. So the day before hitting, now this is a quiet kid, love the Lord the whole nine. He took his helmet off and threw his helmet in the gate. He said, I'm gonna kick y'all ass tomorrow. Y'all been talking like I ain't never seen him go hard like this, right? I'm gonna kick y'all ass tomorrow. First day of hitting. I guarantee y'all talk so much and went in. The very next day, he worked out on them boys so hard he had everybody shook. And he took his helmet off. His boy had came over when he said, Deontay, I told you they were some hoes. I told you they were some hoes. Look at them. They can't stop me. You see what I'm saying? So that was one of the more proud of. That's when I knew he had his own identity. And that was important, to me, that he established his own identity. And that's one of the times he really became two man. That's what we call him, right? But that's when he established his own identity. That day, I'm talking about, it got so bad that they put 3 linemen down, 1 ball, and they had to get a first down. There was nothing they could do with it. He could be literally, if he'd have chose defense, I believe he'd be in pro today.
Wow.
He fell in love with offense. But if had he chose defense, I believe he'd be in pro today. He was an animal. But his identity was carved that day. From that point on, he walked different. And like when he got in the car, I was like, okay, you ready. And it was nothing, no matter where we took him, no matter who the talent was, no matter what, they couldn't hold it.
Nice.
Yep.
Man, so moving from that takes me to something I'm excited to hear you talk about for this audience. Like on this podcast, it's all about creating resources, support, leveraging the collective wisdom and intellect and knowledge of those who have graced the podcast to be a benefit not only new fathers, middle fathers, elder fathers, but community. And talk to them about Fatherhood magazine, bro.
So
I'm gonna take my feedback on this.
So Our Fathers magazine, and Kel, anytime you want to write, you want to ship an article, man, just let me know. Just send your headshot, because we're gonna build this. We're gonna build this thing, right? Because we got to get the ads and stuff like that to really take it to where we're taking it. The fatherhood thing was really just to celebrate fatherhood, show fatherhood at a swaggy level, make sure that you understand that we the coldest. I'm not coming for second place. The Our Fathers magazine is about our fathers, right? We're not getting on here. We're not going to spend our time talking about dogging women, nothing like that. This is about stuff for us. The magazine is about us. And it's about, here's things fathers have to deal with, things fathers do. Here's laws around fatherhood. Here's stuff around health. Here's stories, success stories about fatherhood, gaining access to it's everything, health, wealth. It's everything that goes into what makes us valuable. Like, I didn't want it to be, because, I was just telling my brother the other day that when they give us an opportunity, and, because I can do a movie. Like right now, the office that I'm in, they do movies. So I've been trying to get them to move toward. I got several successful fatherhood stories where the father have been through hell to get their kids, right? We know a bunch of them stories, but we don't put them in movies so men can see the outcome, right? And and so women can see the damage, right? And so Our Fathers magazine was about all our fathers. This is just a magazine. It's about all our fathers. We're not here just to appease one demographic. This is for us all. So, right? This is for all of us, our fathers, right? And to reestablish, because one of the things that needs to be said and done about our fathers is collectively, just like when Doc and them went to DC for policy, collectively, we got to go at that No Fault Divorce Act. At some point in time, we got to come together and say, y'all got to change that No Fault Divorce Act. Ronald Reagan has destroyed families, man, with that law, man. And they know it, and it really is disruptive. This is why I don't like the whole political game when they talking, man, y'all talking like really, we don't know who y'all really are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, we know who you are, right? So it's Our Father's magazine, and I just want to see this thing so on, and they got a decent team, looking at trying to find a grant or people to pay into it. We're gonna have the whole. You can sign up for a yearly membership. Doc and them helping, just really take this thing to where it's so much information, and we got so many ads that we can place these things. In Detroit, there's 1,000 barbershops,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's probably 1,000 in North Carolina, right? So being able to place magazines in these places where men do sit and they can see something that's about fatherhood, they can get online. When you take an ad out, that ad is always online. When you take the ad out online and in the magazine. So we just want to really use this to celebrate fathers, our fathers. And that's really how this thing go.
Fire, fire. Truly championing the conversation around. And it's funny, like what you just said, Cal. I sit and think every space I've been in, whether it's Head Start, Healthy Start, child support, social services. First question I asked when they had this conversation around male engagement or fatherhood, well, Kelly, what can we do? I said, well, what's in your budget for male engagement and fatherhood, right? What's on your walls when I walk in your building in terms of the pictures that you put up? If you don't have pictures of father, if they're not in the marketing material, if there's no budget line item for it, it's sure enough not going to be a magazine in there that they want to read, right? So those are the small collective wins that add to the big win. So, and I got to touch base with you because I got to make sure that your magazine is in some of these places down here too. And the barbershop. So, like our thing is collective. So I got you on this end. Here and try to get some out of Philly too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good, right? And like I said, because it's online, they can grab it there too. You know what I mean? And uh, getting that membership, and it's just important, man. Like, let's go. It's just for me, for us, for the culture, and that's my thing, bro. Like right now, it's for the culture. I don't care what, I don't care how you look at it. Society has deemed that the situation be. I don't play racism games. You come to me with racism games, I got way too much information for you to play.
Yep.
Right. So I'm not playing that game. And so for me, right, because I fight hard, I fight in my spirit hard not to turn malicious.
Mm-mm.
You see, not to take the whole mindset and now I've turned malicious. Right. That's using what God gave you the wrong way. I did that. Once I've awakened to that's not what God wanted me to do, I understand, being a radical, right? And understand what that means to the culture and to the society. I'm not, like I was telling you when we was in DC, I'm not in those lanes. I'm not in the rainbow lane. I don't play the racist game. I can talk about those things, but that's not where I'm at. I'm over here in the family lane. If you care about family, we can get along, especially if you're talking about fathers. Now, if you come over here and you talking about something, you dogging fathers and talking about the boys, and people will tell you right now, I don't even play the N word. I won't even answer you at all. You call me the N word. Hey, man, hey, they'll tell you that. I'm not answering. I'm greater. I'm greater than that. I know I'm greater than that. I don't care how you dress it up. I don't care what clothes you put on it. I'm greater than that. I was born greater than that. So the way that this society had used the word to condemn. Not only you use the word to condemn, you use the word to kill, you use the word, like I'm good on that. You know what I mean? I'm good on that part, right? So I don't use it. So you won't hear me ever call you that, right? But in this today, where I'm at, in this place that I'm at, it's all about these lives. I've done it. We 39 in. I figured, why not bang till the lights go out? Colonel Sanders did it.
Hey, hey, look, Cal. So I want you to close us out strong with two things you're grateful for, and then I want you to summarize all your work, how they can connect, how they can support, and lastly, it's a big lastly, I want you to give them a call to action.
So you say two things, huh?
Hmm?
Say that question again. Just say me again. You want me to give you two things on what?
Two things you're grateful for.
Oh, one, I'm most definitely grateful for what God did to me. It's no question. And I'm grateful for my wife because
Wow.
when she came into my life, and the story on how she came into my life, and the 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 processes that she brought into my life made it helped improve my articulation, my relationships, and understanding with my kids. I got better. So those most definitely are the two things I'm grateful for.
Okay.
Now what's next?
So after the two things that you're grateful for, I want you to just share a little bit about the organization,
Okay.
how people can support.
And then
Uh,
call to action.
yep.
So because we need to our brand period at EMIY World, EMIY Apparel, APPAREL. We put it into a for-profit to go get money so we can do more work. We got too many cities that we have to do. We have to get the brand to a national brand. We've already had the brand right in people's face. We just got to take it to another level.
Mm-hmm.
Donations at EMIWorld, EMIYworld.com. Donations for sure. Um, our work on family restoration, we're very, very proud of. And that watching families come back together, right? Especially in watching families really navigate to work together, and watching our young boys assist around the house in ways they never were, from cooking, cleaning, understanding, listening, grade improvement, health, watching them go from being asthmatic to being healthy young men, um, uh, touching lives from classrooms, from reading, the children's books, the whole nine, just to really get this thing to another level. Was blessed to have the CEO from PBS on our board meeting the other night, Rich, and him listening in, and him giving a whole ton of advice. He said Rich said I wasn't um, aggressive enough. He said I'm too humble.
Mm.
He said I'm listening and I'm watching and I see all your success. You got to tell people. You got to tell people how good this organization is, and you got to tell them why it's a sense of urgency, right? He said because I'm telling you, you got it. You just got to tell people, and those people that don't listen, he said, Cal, you just got to keep it moving. Not everybody is going to buy in. He said, but
Yeah.
you got to tell people. I personally think you too humble. I say, wow. Well, thank you. Right. The call to action is really about we have to restore order, and you have to allow, and this is to the men. Men, you have to go out your way, work your way, maneuver your way to be in the vicinity of your children, regardless to the obstacle. Um, and I know there are plenty obstacles, right? And a lot of times, men, we equate the woman with our moms, and so that's another thing that you allow to pacify the situation, the whole nine. I'm saying, come together, be forthright, be honest with yourself, be involved, help the community. Don't just take care of your kids. Take care of the kids that's hanging around your kids. Teach them. Stop dropping our kids off smelling like weed. Stop dropping our kids off where we're drunk. Stop getting blowed in cars. The call to action is dump as many books in these kids as possible, making sure that they understand when they walk in the classroom that they get just as much information as the kids in the classroom. Prepare your children better for the opportunities that's in front of them. Last year in 2023, under this regime, Biden, they made 500,000 millionaires. 500,000 millionaires were created. We are still talking about they, why 500,000 millionaires were created. So the call to action is that's it. Let's move collectively. But as men, you have to take care of the kids that play with your kids, and we gotta stop. The other one is to stop giving your seed and your body to anybody. Cut them off. Cut them off and focus on you. Put that time into your children and let your children prosper versus a woman or a side piece or multiple women, right? Get you one, because we need more marriages in the culture. And that's my call to action. Men, take your place, fight for your children when you're denied, and help the children that play with your children and hope for them the best, but never ever, and you know how I feel about this one, never ever take advantage of a woman's and you helping her child. Never, because you're not serious enough, and then you're going to cause damage to a kid twice. He already is without a father. So as a mentor, never, ever, ever fraternize with a kid's
blessings and elevation. We will bring you inspiring stories, expert insight, and practical tools and information to support you. Types and embracing our authentic selves, we can pave the way for a brighter future for ourselves and our children. Power, heal, and support fathers and men on their journey. I'm your host, Kelly Little, aka the Village King. Welcome to the Father's Haven.